We begin with this Fox News alert. America's foreign policy in the hands of President Biden is proving to be deadly. Iran's paid-for and trained terrorists are hitting our military men and women at will. Look at the map. Is Biden even up to the job of protecting Americans in the Middle East and even at home? We'll get into that later in the hour. 3 of our U.S. service members were killed over the weekend. 34 were injured. U.S. officials identifying the terrorists. They are Iran-backed, of course. All eyes now on our commander-in-chief and his administration. What will they do? Do they even know what to do? And why was nothing done before it came to this point? I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Just a few minutes ago, we saw, for the first time since he was in the hospital, the nation's Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin at the Pentagon. First day back in the office after 2 weeks in the hospital and recovering. He said he was able to work from home. And his first public appearance since the fatal attacks on our troops. Now, remember how long that's been going on? 104 days, October 17th. The first time we've seen him publicly on that. The drone attack happening in northeastern Jordan, near its borders with both Syria and Iraq, and the region has been hit over and over and over in the recent months, as I just said, 104 days. Congress wants more from President Biden. Don't we all? Their demands now.
We got to reestablish deterrence with regard to Iran. We're seeing the result. More Americans killed, wars in the Middle East. The appeasement policy of the Biden administration has completely failed. Our enemies certainly smell weakness out of the White House. There's no doubt about it.
Most of the attacks since the middle of October, at least 160 of them, look at that, just since October 17th. And the commander-in-chief ordered only responding 15 times. And the criticism from generals has been, even those 15 times were woefully undergrade for what we needed to do. General Jack Keane has been saying it for months, that it is not the way to play the game, at least not to win it.
To deter the proxies themselves by hitting them will not be sufficient. We have got to go after Iran. Iran doesn't care how many rockets and missiles we destroy. The administration doesn't get it. They don't care how many rockets and missiles are destroyed or how many proxies are killed as a result of our strikes. What they do care about is the resources that they own.
Republican Congressman Mike Waltz in focus now, former Army Special Forces with multiple combat tours in Afghanistan and Middle East and Africa. First, though, let's go straight to the Pentagon. Our chief national security correspondent, Jennifer Griffin, now. Jennifer.
Harris, we're getting the first indications of who may have been behind the drone attack that killed 3 U.S. troops while they were sleeping in their barracks, injuring 34, 8 of whom had to be medevaced to Landstuhl in Germany. President Biden has said the U.S. will respond. Sunday's attack, as you mentioned, was the 160th attack by Iranian proxy forces targeting U.S. troops in Iraq, Syria, and now Jordan. The al-Nujayba Islamic Resistance Movement, one of Iran's Shia proxies in Iraq, called on U.S. troops to, quote, leave today before tomorrow, adding the, quote, the resistance fighters mock them. The U.S. killed a leader of the Nujayba group on January 4th in a drone strike in Baghdad. Iran's intelligence minister tried to deny his country's involvement in the attack on U.S. troops.
Host you here today?
We're hearing from Secretary Austin, but the Iranian intelligence minister said, look, the resistance in the region takes action against America's aggressive presence based on its own decisions and policy. It acts based on what it deems right. We just heard from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin as he was meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg.
Let me start with my outrage for the death of 3 brave U.S. troops in Jordan and for the other troops who were wounded. The President and I will not tolerate attack on U.S. forces, and we will take all necessary actions to defend the U.S. and our troops. Now, at this important time, I'm glad to be back at the Pentagon. I feel good and am recovering well, but still recovering.
The Iranian proxy drone hit U.S. troops while they were sleeping in their barracks at a small outpost known as Tower 22, where 350 American troops are stationed, providing logistical support to the American Special Forces based across the border in Syria, part of the counter-ISIS fight. This outpost has been there since 2015 and is strategically located where Jordan, Syria, and Iraq come together. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General C.Q. Brown, spoke in an interview taped before this attack.
We want to ensure that we take away capability while we protect our forces, at the same time not have this brought into a much wider conflict.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting exclusively, Harris, that the way that the drone got into the base at Tower 22 is that the counter-drone measures thought that it was a U.S. drone that was coming back to the base. So clearly, that is something that they will be looking at very closely in the coming days as they investigate how this terrible tragedy occurred. Harris?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my first question would be how well the enemy knows us. And I don't mean those proxies, those people who are paid and trained. I mean Iran. I mean, they watch us closely. I have just a fast question for you, Jennifer. Has there been any indication of how whatever retaliation there would be from the United States military, per the Commander-in-Chief Joe Biden, be different than the lesser than that we saw in the buildup to this point? Generals have criticized it as being lesser than it needed to be to deter.
Based on conversations that I've had, that I think this is a turning point. Once U.S. troops were killed, I was always told there are many, many targets, some of them including Iranian targets, that will be presented to the president. It will be his choice in the end. But there is a campaign plan, and the question is which targets will be chosen, and that will be up to the White House.
Jennifer Griffin, thank you very much. Good to see you. President Biden yesterday promising action against the attacks on American service members.
We lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases.
Yes.
And I'd ask you for a moment of silence for all 3 of those fallen soldiers.
Jesus.
And we shall respond.
Yeah. We put some of the words up on the screen for you because he is difficult to understand a lot. But just 2 weeks ago, the president assured Americans he had the Iran situation under control. Remember this?
I've already delivered the message to Iran. They know not to do anything.
You continue bombing the Houthis if the attacks don't stop, sir?
Say that again?
Continue bombing the Houthis if the attacks don't stop. Will you continue with the strikes, sir?
We will make sure that we respond to the Houthis if they continue this outrageous behavior.
Are we in a de facto proxy war with Iran?
Say again?
Are we in a de facto proxy war?
No.
Joining me now, Republican Congressman Mike Waltz of Florida, member of the House Armed Services, Foreign Affairs, and Intelligence Committees, and also a former U.S. Army Special Forces commander. And we thank you for all of your service. You heard the president there. Are we in a proxy war with Iran? And he said, after having to repeat the question, no. Your reaction to that?
Well, Harris, here's the message that Iran has gotten very clearly. They clearly didn't get the message to stop that Biden thought that they got. What the message that they've received is, yes, they're in a proxy war with us. They are unleashing their militias, not just on Israel, but on us and on global shipping through the Houthis. And they've gotten the message loud and clear that they can get away with it. And not only can they get away with it, that to the extent we do respond, it'll be feckless. I've talked to soldiers out in the field and to commanders that are out in the Middle East right now. We're bombing empty warehouses in the middle of the night so that the administration can check the box to look like they're doing something in response, but they are still beholden to this appeasement strategy when it comes to Iran. And you heard the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, C.Q. Brown. If you listen very carefully, whether it's Kirby, whether it's him, whether it's the president, they end every statement of, we're going to defend ourselves, but we don't want this thing to spread. And what Iran hears from that is, well, let's take it to the next level and see what we can get away with next time. And now we have 3 dead service members because of it that many of us have been warning.
Yes.
Eventually one of these missiles, one of these drones are going to get through. And when you're trying to play defense constantly, rather than punching back in a meaningful way, this blood is on this administration's hands.
I want to get in,
and they need to take responsibility for it.
And I don't know if you heard Jennifer Griffin. She said that from the indications that she's getting at the Pentagon that this is a turning point. My question was, how will this look different from the other times we have retaliated? That was her answer. So we'll have to watch and report that. But I'm taking it you don't believe that.
Well, I don't think, don't worry about what I believe. I don't think the Iranians believe it. I don't think the militias in Iraq believe it. I don't think the Houthis or Hezbollah or Hamas believe it. Right now, you can have all the capability, military capability in the world. And by the way, there's an opportunity cost. We're stripping from places around China and ships and things that should be in maintenance, soldiers that should be resting. To surge in the Middle East, you can have all that capability, but if our enemies don't believe we have the political will to use it in a way that's going to hurt them, not their proxies, not empty warehouses in the middle of the desert, but them, then they're going to continue to push. That's how the Middle East works. They only respect strength, and they need to believe that there's going to be serious costs imposed. So you know what? It's just not worth messing with the Americans anymore.
So look, I want to dig deeper into some of the reporting. Jennifer Griffin just brought this to our attention. Of course, the Wall Street Journal broke it. They originally reported that the U.S. official now has confirmed to Fox News the Iran proxy drone that got past our defenses for Dower 22 because it was mistaken for U.S. drone expected to return to the base at the same time. This has now been confirmed by a U.S. official. Now, what I said to Jennifer moments ago was, how well does the enemy know us? And I don't mean all those proxies paid for terrorists. I'm talking about Iran, that they can do this.
Well, Harris, at this point, I'm speculating, and we'll ask for briefings on exactly what happened. Did our defensive measures fail? Have they captured one of our drones and reverse engineered theirs? Ooh. This is the cat and mouse game that's going on. But at bigger picture, we're shooting down these $30,000, $40,000 drones with $2 to $3 million missiles. It's not sustainable. And from my position as the chairman of military readiness, we're going to be pressing the Pentagon. How are we reacting when you can throw thousands of these things at very little cost? You can literally buy them on Chinese websites like Alibaba, and yet we have these super elaborate systems that are being...
The same kind they're using you can buy on the website of Alibaba?
Look at my Twitter feed. I put up a screenshot of one. So
and it did that much
damage. That's a broader issue of how we have to adjust in the tactical space. But strategically, we have a fundamental, in this administration, misunderstanding of deterrence. They're so obsessed with non-escalation that it's actually inviting escalation, and now people are dead because of it.
Yeah, and you've opened everybody's eyes. You said whenever they stop talking, they say, but we don't want to widen this thing. We don't want it to spread. It is spreading. It's now killing us.
That's a green light to Tehran.
Oh my goodness.
Until they reverse course and dry up the cash in Tehran, they're going to have all the resources they need to keep fueling the fire.
When you get going on those conferences, I want to directly bring you back and educate us on what you're going to push for on the Hill. The Secretary of Defense is back today. He says he's been working from home. We'll watch to see if that has any kind of an impact, too. Congressman Waltz, it's always great to have you in focus. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Harris.